I think that one of the things I'm finding hardest at the moment is sort of moving my regular classroom setup online into like a virtual world.
So what are the particular challenges that you're facing?
I think the thing I feel like I'm missing is a way of creating relationships with the children, whether it's sort of at the start of the year when we don't know each other, or we've just come back from a holiday, just a way of setting up our own relationship as a class.
And how's that making you feel?
Disjointed. It feels really formal. It feels like all of the children feel very separate from each other. I don't feel like we are one class, one unit, one team, and I don't know how to bring us all together.
Okay, so Stacey, you are uniquely you and you've not changed. You're the same person. The only thing that has changed for you is the challenge of teaching in an online world. So first of all, hold on to that because you'll get to your goal. The next thing is that we're hearing about personal interactions because it feels very different, doesn't it? It doesn't feel right to you. Okay, how would you portray your personality in a traditional classroom? Let's go back to that. Let's do what you know.
I think within our classroom, I use a lot of humour. So the children know that we can have a bit of a chuckle along while we're working, and we don't always have to take ourselves so seriously. But with that, they know where the line is between that playful sense of fun and humour into when we then knuckle down and work hard. And that I find in real life, that helps to build the boundaries that we need in terms of acceptable behaviour, and that they trust me and I can trust them, and we know what is expected of each other.
Okay, so I'm hearing two things. Firstly, it's how do you develop the relationships with those students? And the second thing is how do you develop an environment where the standards that you expect, so they all know, you know what to expect from them and they know what to expect from each other, is set. So let's do with you first and your personal interactions with the students. First of all, bring anything you would have done into the classroom, in a traditional classroom, you can bring into the virtual world. Your warmth, your personality, calling each of the children by name so that they're included in your lesson. You know, switch it up with your tone. You probably do that anyway without realising it. So all of those things are important. And use your humour. You know, if you're going to use the chat function, you can use GIFs or emojis, and you can make it fun for the children in that way. So anything that makes you uniquely you is really important.
Is there a risk that it could sort of fall over the boundaries of sort of appropriateness or professionalism? So with the GIFs and the emojis and things in chats, that it could run away and I won't be able to rein it in?
Okay, well, let's go back to the sorts of things you would share with your students to start with, and then I'll pick up on the GIFs and emojis. What would you share with them about your life generally?
They'll know which car is mine in the car park. They will probably know who I live with. They'll know my favourite food.
Okay, and do you think any of those things, sharing them, is unprofessional?
No.
Okay, so you could do exactly the same. You could start your day by telling them what you've had for breakfast, how you structured your day, because that's quite good to tell them how you structured your day. It gives them an idea of, you know, what was their day like, a comparison, if you like. You could introduce them. Do they know what animals and pets you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so your cat is walking along, pick it up, put it up, introduce them to it. That's a bit of fun, it's a bit of humour. Children like to see that. They like to make the connection. All students, whatever age, like to know that you are a real human being that has the same sorts of lives as they do and same connections. They want to make those connections with you. So do that, that's important. Now, if you're using a GIF or an emoji, it could be your cat that you use to say well done every time. He can be the mascot in the class. It's fun, it's not overstepping the line. Okay, so that was the first thing you came up. The second thing was standards. And what were you worried about the standards?
I've been able to set boundaries so they know what is expected behaviour-wise, not just sort of because so much we only see this.
Yeah.
So much is unknown, and they're in a very relaxed environment. They're in their homes, so I'm concerned that their behaviour will run away. Okay,
so the first thing is, I just want to talk about this. You don't have to keep children in their seats when you're teaching online. Okay, we'll come back to that. The second thing is, even if you're not going to keep them on the seats, you're still worried about these interactions. So how do you set the standards at the beginning of a new term or a new year? What do you do?
We talk about what was expected of each other, respect in terms of language used and behaviour, both sort of physical and just how we would behave in our classroom and in the wider school community.
Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same online. What we're going to do is we're going to transfer that online. So at the start of the year, you set out some rules or something for the students? Right, we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to explain the challenge is slightly different because we're not in the classroom together. So how are we going to communicate with each other? What's going to be the signal? Are we going to use an emoji? The children are used to working in a virtual world, remember, so they'll have ideas, include them in that discussion, and make sure you've only got 6 or 7 things that we come up with, because more than that, nobody remembers, that you can make as netiquette rules. So let's share, how are you going to stop the distractions and the interruptions so that everybody gets a fair chance and can participate in this environment? When you do that and they have buy-in, they're more likely to deliver in the sort of lesson that you want. It's not an exact science. If it goes wrong, you switch up the rules, you change, you talk about it, just as you would do in a traditional classroom. Don't think it's more scary than it is.
What about their relationships with each other? I feel like that's something I'm worried they're going to miss out on, being all in separate houses. It all feels very formal and rigid, and they're not able to bounce off each other and feel each other's energies and make the relationships that they normally would amongst themselves.
Okay, many children are involved in gaming, so they already have relationships in a virtual world. Utilise that. Utilise the facilities on these platforms that you're going to use, as long as you know how to use them, so practice beforehand, like the chat function, like the breakout rooms, because you can put the students, to start with, and it'll include the ones that are perhaps not so confident, together. You can actually have special interest groups so that they can get together to talk about some of the things that they're involved in, or in their home life they've done. You could have one on pets and caring for it. You could have a time for you. Could they actually have a book-in time system where they come in and talk to you? It might be they just want to talk to you about their interests, but it might be they want to talk about a worry or a concern they've got. You can start their day with, I wish my teacher knew, and they could book in on that if they wanted to. They're all little techniques that will help your students feel calm, but also for those students that are more shy and don't want to put their hand up, or who don't get included in groups, you're actually helping them and facilitating them in a much more exciting and engaging way.
I think one final thing that I am concerned about, because they're at home, there's the outside influence of parents and carers who they live with who are in the same environment that they are. I had an instance where one parent appeared on screen in the middle of a lesson. What do I do to sort of rein that in? Okay, I feel for you. But parents are busy people just like us. And what they value is consistency, structure, and clear communication. So explain to all the stakeholders what your day is going to look like. You design it, and how's this virtual classroom going to work, so that they know when you'll be teaching and when you'll welcome them into the virtual world. In that way, you're not guessing or worrying that they're going to appear at any time that is unexpected. You know what that's going to look like. I hope that's really been helpful to you. Massively, thank you.